Good afternoon, dear sisters and brothers. There was once a novice mistress who would always eat the ripened banana, thinking that it would be wasted for tomorrow, so she would make sacrifices. But every day she sees the ripened banana, so she was wondering what would have happened to the bananas. Then she inquires the novices. Then the novices said, since you like them, so we are buying them from the market. So this is the generation. They who don't understand what is the sacrifice, what is asceticity. We don't really understand. So there is a lot of gap between the formator and the formies. Formies are changed. They are coming from a new generation, but the formators and we remain same. So I think I'm going to deal with you in line with Pope Francis, the practical things, what should we be developing in order to change our formation, in order to make it very relevant. So among the challenges in the world, consecrated life encounters formation as a priority. So this is true not only for those who are initially beginning, but those of us who are already in the formation for quite some time. So Pope Francis says, if ongoing formation is good, and I think we don't have to worry about the initial formation, because they see and they learn. They do whatever they see. This is the words of once we had in Tejas, one Guruji was called to speak. And one of the theologians asked the question, how do you give the formation for your upcoming people? Then he said, we don't give anything. They come, they stay with us, they follow us. And unlike them, we have too many curriculums to give and give and give, where I think we have to make a kind of balance. So I'm just putting this, I'm not going to explain to you. The formation has taken a lot of changes from the time it began. It began like traditionally, it went and essentially, then there was after Vatican, laissez-faire, socialization, prophetic, which I'm not going to deal with, but I'm just wanted to show. Then formation in 90s, then as challenging, then integrated, that is Christ-centered, then now, right now where we are is integrated, psycho-spiritual integration, where Pope is really insisting on that. So what is that? Holistic, it's a long-term transformation or a transcendence, and it is a mystical power, as Inigo was telling, then it is with synodality. So this is the right now where we are going to deal with. Okay. Over the years, we have become familiar with saying wholeness is holiness. Everybody speak of wholeness, holistic. Okay. It relates to the concept that our growth as human being is nothing but spiritual. What is a human being? It's a spiritual. Every person has got a divine spirit in oneself. It's okay. Man fully alive is the glory of God, says St. Irenaeus. So psycho-spiritual formation is understood in terms of wholeness, self-realization, vibrant living, and maturity. It seems that psychology may be a handmaiden in assisting integration. So without psychology, the integration cannot be possible. It's okay. No matter how lofty the focus, spirituality is something other than the human, or transcending. The human are added on to the human. It is a fully human. Every human person is created in his own image and likeness. So why then formation is needed? Okay, that's what we have to think about it. Why then formation is needed if I and you are created in the image and likeness of God? Can you know? Oh, okay. Now can you hear? Okay, thank you. Thank you. See, here you see, most of the persons come for survival, safety, or success. Sometimes even our congregations are what are they doing? Survival. We are fighting for survival. We are fighting for safety from the political parties. We are also fighting among us or with the corporate world for success. Is that for we have come? I think we need to focus on significance. Is my presence a significant in the place where I live? Is my institution a significant place where I live? Is every person in the congregation is a significant where I live? So this is what our concern, our formation should be today. So a lack of integration may lead to psychological disturbances where the person keep on becoming a problematic to other person and definitely problematic to oneself. So here the Pope is speaking three things. One is in his language he says from freedom from, but I would say formation from, formation in, and formation for. So what is that formation in? The formation in is, according to the psychologist or anyone who could say, 90% of is in the unconscious and only 10% is in the conscious. And today's behavior is on the unconscious, not today's reality. So you have to believe that, and of course everyone believes that 90%, whatever we do today, whatever we speak today, whatever we aspire today, whatever we have the motivation today, it's come from unconscious, not from the conscious. So what does formation promise? So one has to get into the unconscious and get it cleared. So Freud would say, Freud psychologist would say, so fixation, so issues. So you have to solve the issues in order to. So and when Buddha says, only when you have conquered the unconscious, that's the time that you can be happy. That's the time you can be focusing. That's the time you become worth. So that's what unconscious. That's the one thing that should happen is in the formation, bringing the unconscious into conscious. So Pope says in his book, in the initial stage, 70 to 80% of the formation should be on healing. 70 to 80% should be concentrating on the healing in the initial. Maybe the candidacy will come, aspirancy, postulancy, give more importance for bringing the unconscious into conscious. So the defense mechanism, a personality that operates out of the unconscious never really evolves beyond the ways it developed in childhood. No, we see what Jesus says, what comes from within is more dangerous than what comes. What defiles from what comes from the Matthew 17. The healing from woundedness, brokenness that are carried from the childhood leads towards integration. There is no healing, there is no integration. Psychology healing assists in evolving a mature personality. So healing alone brings a mature personality. So we need to facilitate as a formator, as a leaders, as a kind of formative committee, we need to help them to be loving, serving, and less serving by synodality, by journeying with them, accompanying them, knowing them, being all the time together with them. So here,
2 minutes will wait. They switch on the changeover. Now light has come, electricity has come.
Hold check.
So here, the another shift that we have to make is, most of the time, we are looking in the formation house symptoms. We are correcting the symptoms. We are worried about the symptoms. But symptoms are not the one. Every novice mistress, every person that is involved in the formation looks for symptoms. You are late, so why are you late? You are getting angry, why are you getting angry? So these are the things. So most of the time we are catching out of symptoms, not the problems. So according to developmental stages of Eric and Erickson's, he says, we know it, you have learned from 2 to 2 years, I am not going to deal with you. The real problems that every candidate comes to the congregation or every person in the world is fear and anxiety. That is from 0 to 2 years, the cultivation. Then shame and doubt, 2 to 4 years. 4 to 6 years, guilt conscience. Then 6 to 12 years, inferiority complex. These are the 4 problems every candidate comes into a congregation or anywhere. So are we dealing with this? How are we dealing with this to overcome? But most of the time, the symptoms of these problems are maybe angry, hatred, jealousy, secluded, many other things. So we are trying to solve the problem of a symptom, but really behind that, the problems are not solved. So we need to take it into consideration this very much. The need for the harmonious integration of the various aspects of formation is emphasized in Vita Consagrata. John Paul VI says in the 65. Formation should involve the whole person in every aspect of personality, in behavior and intention. So it's not a lopsided, but has a holistic, everything has to be looked into. Integrated formation is a journey that encompasses both the spiritual and psychological dimensions of the human person, leading her to transcendence by consistently striving towards a passionate love and zeal for the Lord. So are we leading the candidate, leading the formee to have the transformational journey by accompanying her? That's the question we need to pose. So here we see, I have spoken to you in just the formation prom is nothing but paying much attention, 70 to 80% of the time in the initial stage, to clarify the issues of the candidate that come in. The second stage would be the freedom in. What is that freedom in? Freedom in is nothing but taking the candidates to experience the love of God, experience of God. Can a novice be enveloped by the love of God? So that's a question we need to pose when we say, once the healing has taken place in the first stage, it is easier to lead. The first year novice should be concentrating on this. First year novice. So physiological needs, according to Eric and Erickson's, the needs are not this one. There are so many needs are there. One need is physiological need. The second need is safety need, belongingness need, esteem need, spiritual need. Okay, so these are the things that are needed in the formation to take care. So everyone has got these needs. Where is the formator stuck? That is more important. If I am stuck in the physiological need, or esteem need, or belongingness need, or even the spiritual need, am I able to lead the candidate into the spiritual experience? Am I able to make those candidates to have the discovery of God? No, this is the question we need to face. So what we need to do is, physiological needs should be given to the candidates. What is that? Minimum food, nutritious food. One should feel only when the poor hungry person cannot get transformation. The physiological needs should be given to the candidates, and we have to give the safety needs, some kind of education, some kind of protection, all that has to be seen, and should be given to a belongingness, the community life, making them to live in a community life and experience the appreciation, love of the companionship, and esteem needs. One has to have an esteem needs, worthfulness of one person. So various ways making use of it. Spiritual needs, of course, all these are the spiritual needs. All these needs are only that is not a spirituality. That's not integrated life. All this taking into consideration, where I go into deeper is not seen. That's a spirituality is just enveloped by the person of God. So, a meter should be operating from in out, not out in. So most of the time, because we are not really healed persons, we are got somewhere stuck anywhere. So what is happening is we are operating from where I have got stuck. That's the thing is in the formation we find today, not so much of transcendence, not so much of changes. Nothing happens. She comes and she was there as candidate like that, and we see as junior like that, and we see also as senior like that. We don't see much of the changes because it doesn't take place the way it has to take place. So psycho-spiritual integration begins to happen naturally when the personality and soul meet, each honoring each other for its natural way of being. No? When spirituality should be there and psychology should be there. They both have to be blended in order to have integration. Integration refers to a dynamic interplay of experiences that finally lead to a mature relationship and behaviors. Yeah? So it encompasses both the psychological and spiritual dimension of the human being, who finally learns to transcend oneself as a loving person to God's call. So all that should happen in the formation is, so person becomes compassionate, person becomes a loving, person becomes a forgiving, person becomes a kind of free. So that is called freedom in. So freedom in is nothing but, in two sentences to tell, having a God experience, a deep Abba experience. So we are supposed to help them to discover true selves and connect with the sacred mystery within. So Bishop was taking the mystic, the sacred mystery. That's what we have to help the candidates to enter into. This means that our spiritual growth is not just a function of searching for God outside ourselves, but honoring the kingdom of God which is within each one of us. So with every insight we gain, the closer we move to connecting with our sacred core, finding personal meaning and fulfilling the purpose of our unique life. So only then we have found, then we become a functioning purpose. We realize that we are a unique being, but called for something greater purpose. Okay, this is the full slide has not come. That's what I can see it. The formation for is to take place in the second year novitiate and also in the juniorate. As I was asked to talk for the sisters, so I'm focusing on the religious of women, but definitely you can also take it into other formation. This is the same thing would happen to every formation now. Okay, formation for psycho-spiritual integration. Formation for one is inner healing. When inner healing takes place, the opposite is the person becomes compassionate, warm and tender. So the focus is inner healing. So on the contrary, or in the course of time, the person becomes compassion. Secondly, making the person to have a good self-esteem. So today, the lot of problems is because of inferiority complex. Inferiority complex is like a cancerous gland, multiplies in no time. So why so much of trouble is there in the world? Maybe I would say there is an inferiority complex. So maybe we need to make it the person to have a self-esteem. Pope very much insists that to depend upon inner resources rather than outer resources. So even the bottle is full, you can take a Bisleri bottle and you crush it. When the water is there, you cannot crush it because there is something, inner strength is there. When it is an empty bottle, you crush it, you can crush it. So the same way, Pope uses saying that you make these candidates are the persons, the inner strength to have, not to depend upon the outer source. So more of inner source. It's like a balloon. It's a balloon is a balloon. When you put inside the air, then it goes up. There is a strength within. So also same way in each one of us. When there is an inner strength, we can accomplish anything. We can do anything. We can be so committed and so dedicated. Then to let go of things, let go of many things and let God in. Let go of many things and let God in. So this is the experience every person should have in the formation to have an integrated personality. So increased self-awareness. The other one is increased self-awareness. When there is an increased self-awareness, the growing to be an adult. So most of the time in a day, at least every person would be like a child 3 to 4 times, sometimes 10 times, sometimes 15 times, depends upon the person. So making increased self-awareness will always lead to a person to live like an adult. So psycho-spiritual integration is the blending of psychological well-being and spiritual essence in an individual. The integrated person is one who is at peace with oneself, in society, with God, and with the nature. And this because integration implies that a person's feeling, perceptions, thoughts, and body processes as part of the larger whole. So person is quite in harmony with everything that person meets. So person can discover the divinity or the mystic power everywhere and anywhere she lives when that healing and when that integration has taken place. So formation towards integrated life is interiority, deepening self-awareness, deepening one's self-awareness. So how much of person is taken in our formation to self-awareness? Secondly, responsibility. Is the person responsible for herself or himself? Is our formation curriculum is leading to be growing to be an adult person? Because synodality, journeying with them, consulting with them, speaking with them, asking them. So these are the terminology one should use in order to make them responsible. So earlier, everything was decided by the superior. Everything was decided by the novice master or a novice mistress. You say this, do this, and it is done. Go there, and it's gone there. Gone are the days. Today, everything has to be in journeying together, in synodality. So creativity. Developing passion for Christ, people, and environment. So how am I creating, and in a creative way, how I am leading the candidate, how I am leading the novice to have this passion for Christ, passion for environment, passion for people. And lastly, intimacy. So increasing capacity for inner freedom. So leading the person to have that inner freedom. So all through I have talked, the only 3 things I have talked. One is formation from, that is inner healing is a must in the initial formation. Secondly, formation in, that is a God experience in the first year novices and first year novitiate and second year novitiate. And the formation for preparing everyone to be a mission oriented or to a committed and a integrated person to live in the society. So thank you for your closed mouth and open ears. Thank you, sisters and brothers. Thank you.